Welcome to our Harvest Barley market update from the team here at Market Check. Now, we've been out quite vocal with our membership base over the past 2 months on our views on barley and where the risk lies and what we think could unfold as we move through harvest. So we thought it was quite prudent to actually get our message out there to the wider community. And with me here, I've got Nick Crundle, who's the Head of Strategy for Market Check, to give you some of his insights and thoughts on where the barley market could head and where the risk lies moving forward.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. I'll just quickly cover off why we've seen the market react like it has over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Basically, it comes down to 3 or 4 main factors. Firstly, the yields have actually been better than expected across the board, barring a few screenings issues that we've seen in pockets. So that's been, obviously, it's going to get more production into the market. Secondly, we have the grower who's typically forward sold a lot more by this point in time in previous seasons. So there hasn't been a lot of forward selling. And over the last 3 or 4 weeks, as we approached and got into harvest, the grower's been sort of dialing up their sales. So that's been bringing the volume into the market and pushing the bids lower. But the main one really has been the lack of export demand that we've had at the prices that we were seeing over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Typically, the large majority of our barley goes to China, and they've bought quite a big chunk of that at this point. Whereas we've got this anti-dumping investigation that's still hanging over the industry, and it's stopping the exporter here and the importer in China being able to connect on business and get some sales away in order for those guys to then stand by the bids day by day as we approach harvest. So we do get a update on how that investigation is going in the middle of November. So hopefully we get a good outcome. But it's really keeping ourselves in limbo in what that's going to do. So when we look at prices going forward, there's a lot to be sort of optimistic about. Barley is a significant discount to wheat. So where possible, the feed guys here in Australia will switch to more barley usage. So that'll bring on additional demand. So that's something that's quite supportive. And secondly, if we do see China come in here and buy a few million tonnes of exportable surplus out of WASA, that's going to really tighten up the supply side and put quite a strong demand, a bid under our market. So they're the two things that we're looking at. We've also got the risk of a sorghum crop that's, it's got a bit more time to get planted, but there's issues with the summer planting window as it stands today. But also, we've got another winter crop next year. So if there's issues with both of those, that's going to be supportive of our market. So there is good reason to think that the market going forward over the next 12 months is going to be higher than it is now. But there's obviously risk of the opposite if we don't see that sort of big export demand step up for Aussie barley over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
So if you're looking at holding any barley post-harvest, you're going to need time for it to work, to play out. Particularly with barley being 60 to 70 under wheat. It's quite prudent that you look at a post-harvest hedging strategy for at least a decent percentage of what you're going to carry, so you're not exposed to the flat price movements. Now, if you'd like to know any more about our strategy guidance, you can give our advisory team a call if you want to sign up to become a member and access that strategy. Otherwise, you can execute the post-harvest strategy through our strategic program, which will be hedging any barley we contract in and carrying it. Because we're looking at barley as a cheap grade of feed wheat this year, and then we'll be selling into any relative strength mid next year. You can also access the cash market through our grain agency service, so feel free to give the team a call anytime.